I remember a time when our business had loads of servers in place, running email, data and applications. And we had these fancy backup systems in place. On-site backup, off-site backup, disaster recovery. Goodness me. I'm so glad that we moved all our data to Microsoft 365 because we don't need to worry about backup anymore. Microsoft take care of everything for us.
Oh, Fred, who's told you that?
Well, I just presumed. I mean, Microsoft 365 is cloud-based, isn't it?
Fred, you decide to rent an apartment in a new apartment block. It's a lovely spot overlooking the beach. Anyway, one day, your heating stops working. Who are you going to call?
Well, the landlord. I mean, I'm renting the apartment after all.
Yeah, that's right. And the landlord, he'll come and fix it for you because all that kind of thing is included in your rent. Things like heating, electricity, and water. But tell me this, Fred. One day, you spill a glass of red wine all over your couch, and then you ring your landlord. Tell me, what's he going to say?
Spill red wine all over the couch? Well, what's that got to do with my landlord? He'd tell me it was my problem.
Exactly, Fred. Look, the apartment block is Microsoft 365. Your specific apartment in the block is your Microsoft 365 tenancy. And your furniture and your possessions, well, that's your data. So when it comes to responsibility, yeah, Microsoft are going to keep your tenancy running, just like your landlord does with the heating, electric, water. But when it comes to your data, like your furniture and possessions, Fred, it's your problem.
Well, I didn't know that. I better start looking at some kind of system then to back up my Microsoft 365 data. And for the record, I don't spill red wine over the couch. I don't even like red wine.
Well, Fred, it's your lucky day because Redstor, who provide business continuity and resilience for Microsoft 365, well, they're the topic for today's Takeover Tuesday.
Great timing, eh?
Welcome to Takeover Tuesday. Takeover Tuesday features companies who provide software or support that can help secure, enhance, or maintain Microsoft 365. And today's special guests are Redstor. So let's dig in. So today, I might be talking to 3 different sets of people. One set might be like Fred, and you're just learning the importance of backing up Microsoft 365. Another set of people might already understand the importance of backing up their Microsoft 365 data, but they're looking for a solution that's independent from Microsoft, easy to use, and highly resilient and secure. But there's a third set of people that I might be talking to as well, who already back up their Microsoft 365 data, but have never thought about the importance of backing up Entra ID. Whichever set of people you are, there's going to be something for you all in today's video. So without further ado, let's take a close look at Redstor. Now, I'm going to begin this demo by showing you the portal, how clean and beautiful it looks. Then I'm going to show you how easy it is to add clients into Redstor and to start backing up Microsoft 365 data. Let's go. So this is the Redstor website at redstor.com. Now, I actually like the simplicity and the design of this website, and fortunately for us, that also carries through into the portal, which we're going to see at the moment. Now, to access the portal, it's very simple. We can click on Login here. If you want a free trial, you can also choose that option here. But I'll choose Login. And this is the sign-in page to Red App, which is Redstor's portal. Now, there's a few different ways that you can sign in. If you're a Google Suite user, it's all integrated. I'm obviously a Microsoft 365 user, so I will click on here. And all I'm doing now is entering my Microsoft 365 credentials, so I can benefit from all our multi-factor authentication, etc. So I'll enter my email address now, click Next, enter my password. I've also got Redstor 2FA, so I'll enter that now as well, and that will sign me in. Now, if you look in the top left-hand corner, you can see it says Integral IT, and there's also Integral IT's logo. That is because my MSP actually uses Redstor as its primary backup, business continuity, resilience tool for all of our clients. We like it that much. So down the left-hand side, you've got some stats on your company, and then you've got a list of all your customers, and we'll be able to show you some of that data later in the video. But I'm going to head to the top right-hand side here, where we've got a few options. Now, just to show you here on the settings, there's a few bits you can do. You can change your company profile. There's now integration available for ConnectWise. So if your MSP is using ConnectWise as its PSA, you can integrate them nicely. And here you can manage users and enable daily email summaries. Okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to add a customer. Okay. Which takes us to this page here. Now, I've graded these out here. These are just a list of all our customers for my MSP. But I'm going to show you how to enable customers really quickly, really easily. So we're going to be creating a single company, and we just enter the company name. Okay, so this is the Bearded 365 Guy test tenancy. Now, at this point, I can go ahead and enter lots of different customers if I want. So if I'm switching from another backup provider, or I've onboarded lots of different customers at the same time, I can add them easily this way. Or I've got an option as well to import using a CSV file. So that's helpful as well. But then I'll just go ahead and click on Add Customer. And you can see here, look, my customer has been added. Now, at the moment, we've got no services with this customer. So I'm going to simply click into the customer here, and it takes us to our dashboard, which of course is empty. But let's just go to the top right hand corner again, to these three little dots, and I want to manage products. And then I click on add, and then we get a summary of all the services and systems that we can back up using Redstor. So of course, we've got our Microsoft 365 data. But if your business or your customers use Google Workspace, you can also back that up using Redstor. And what about things like Xero and Salesforce? Well, these are also cloud-based products. So why don't you add more value to your MSP service offering by offering to back up these for your customers? And Azure virtual machines. So you can back up all your Azure virtual machines using Redstor. So this is a great option if you don't want to use the Azure backup. If you want your backups for your Azure virtual machines to be with a separate provider, you can do all of that with Redstor. Also, Azure Blob Storage you can back up. If you've got any PCs or physical machines or anything like that, servers, you can back those up as well with Redstor. And the newest product to Redstor is the ability to back up Microsoft Entra ID. Now, we're going to talk more about that later in this video. But for now, I want to get my Bearded 365 Guy tenancy all backed up. So I'm going to simply click on this plus sign here and then proceed. And you can see that the Microsoft 365 has been successfully added to this customer. What I can do is go to the product here, but I'll just click out of here. And towards the left-hand side, you can see now that I've got Microsoft 365. And if I go into here, again, it's empty because what I've got to do now is link my Microsoft 365 tenancy to this customer. How do I do that? Well, I go to Add, and I click on Add Backup Set. Then I'm going to select the service. So let's start with Exchange Online. Click on Sign In. And it's going to ask us for the Microsoft 365 admin sign-in details. Now, this isn't the one for the partner account. This is actually the global admin for the Bearded 365 Guy tenant itself. So click on Use Another Account, add the admin, click on Next, add the password, click on Sign In, go through the 2FA, and then Redstor is going to need a bunch of permissions over our data in our tenancy. I'm happy to accept that. Okay, click on Next, select our users, and then click Next. And then we've got a list of all the mailboxes in our tenancy, and they're all ticked to be backed up. Then we've got this little tab here, so include new accounts. So if we add a new user tomorrow, that will automatically get included, so you don't have to go back and add it manually. Click on Save, and that has been added. So let's just go back to the overview again. Click on Add another backup set. This time I'm going to tackle the OneDrives. Again, we signed in, accept that. Again, our users, click on Next. We've got our OneDrives, again, include new accounts, click on Save, and that is added as well. So now we've got Exchange and OneDrive. Let's just go back here and add a couple more bits. We've Got SharePoint, definitely want to add that. Click on sign in. Again, authentication. Accept the permission request. Okay, I don't think we've actually got any SharePoint sites in this tenancy, okay? So I can add that, but I don't think there's anything there. Go back to our overview again. The last thing, add backup set. Again, Teams. This might not contain anything in this tenancy either. Let's have a look. Accept those. And no, we've got no Teams in here either. So I'm ready now to go back to the overview here. And you can see at the moment, there's no data because no backup has taken place. But I've shown you just how easy it is to add a new client into Redstor and start backing up their Microsoft 365 data. Okay, so far so good. We've got our tenancy loaded into Redstor. And as we speak, it's now backing up our data. But backups are only to be used when something goes wrong. So what happens when we need to restore data using Redstor? Well, let me show you exactly how to do that right now. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few more bits now. Now, the tenancy that I'm showing you is actually our own MSP tenancy because there's a bit more data here and I can show you more of the Redstor features. So you can see here we've got a nice overview of the backup status. You can see how many accounts are getting protected. You can look at all the different backups over the last 24 hours. But we've got a couple of other things here. We've got something called suspicious files. Now, this isn't the same as the Elvis Presley song. I think that was Suspicious Minds. This is suspicious files. So what does that mean? So suspicious files is Redstor's AI-enabled malware detection. So what happens, the Redstor backup runs and it scans all files for malicious activity. If the Redstor backup detects any kind of malicious activity, these files will be quarantined, okay? So what we can do, we can go into here, click View, and you can see all the files that Redstor thinks are suspicious. And we've got a severity attached to them all. What we're able to do is click into here, and we'll get some more information. So Redstor is 51% certain that this file is a possible dropper, okay? And it says here, dropper's a kind of Trojan designed to install malicious content. It gives you more information about where this file is and what the source is. So this is in our SharePoint, but if you were backing up PCs or virtual servers or anything like that, it'll tell you the source. We can look at a few more. So Bitdefender uninstall tool, that's quite a possible thing that an IT and MSP could have. Again, that's a possible dropper. We can look here. This time, Redstor is 97% certain that this could be a possible Trojan, okay? So how is this helpful for you as an MSP? Well, again, it's all proactive support for your customers. What I can do now is I can look into the 365, I can find this file, and I can interrogate it a little bit more, okay? I can make sure it's either safe or not safe. And then what I can do, I've got some options here. I can go to these three little dots. If this is just a setup file that we use all the time and I think it's safe, I can mark it as safe. And once I mark it as safe, Redstor will re-include this file into our backups, okay? I've also got an option to delete. So if I delete this, Redstor will delete this file from my backups, okay? So that is suspicious files. I think it's a really handy tool and it gives you the ability to offer that proactive support for your customers. We've also got something else here, which is called sensitive files. So what's sensitive files? Well, the Redstor Backup has a data tagging feature, which aligns to criteria within GDPR and other data protection standards. Now, this data tagging feature is completely automated. You don't need to do anything. But what it allows you to do is see your exposure, and it allows you to see where your sensitive documents are actually living. So if I click on here, you can see a list. It's 2,970. It tells you the product. It tells you some file paths. Now, this is just our Microsoft 365. But if you've got a business with virtual machines and things like that, it will show you where your sensitive data is living across all of your estate. And what you can do, you've got some options. So this one here, the top one, what we can do, this has been classed as highly sensitive. I can edit that tag if I want. I can downgrade to sensitive, or I can make it unclassified. So I'm in control of doing all of that. Plus, I can do some nice filtering things. What I can do is say, well, show us everything that's highly sensitive, start date, end date, and apply those filters. Okay, so that is sensitive files. So suspicious files and sensitive files are really nice additions. But what I want to look at now is actually restoring some Microsoft 365 data. So let's start with some Exchange data. If I go into here, we've got a few things along the top. So we've got an overview of our last backup size, our last backup, and our storage region. We've also got backup selection. That's how many mailboxes are included. I can pop into there and edit it. So I can get rid of some mailboxes if I don't want to back them up anymore, or I can add some mailboxes as well. Plus, I can also amend the backup schedule. So at the moment, it's backing up every day at this time. I can make a custom backup schedule. I can even back up 3 times a day if I want to. So that's a really nice option for you as well. But I'll come out of there. And you can see I've got a mailbox here. It's not actually my real mailbox. I think we created it about a year ago for some kind of sales initiative. But I'm going to look at restoring some data from here. So if I click into it, down this side, you can see all the successful backups that we have. So I can simply choose a backup. I can look at mailbox calendar contacts. I can drill down. I can keep drilling down until I get to the point where I can restore individual emails. So that's really useful. What I'm going to do though, I'm just going to restore, there's not many mails in this inbox. I'm going to restore the entire inbox, okay? Down the right hand side, bottom right, we've got a recover tab. And we've got a couple of options. First one, export to PST. You might just want to restore this to a PST file for maybe some archiving purpose or something like that. But the chosen method really should be restore to a new folder. And I'll show you exactly what happens there. So click on new folder. It's going to ask us for our Redstor 2FA code. So I'll punch that in now. And then it's going to ask us for our Microsoft 365 admin details. So again, I'll plug that in now. And you can see at the bottom here, look, restore has been initiated, recovery in progress. So I'll monitor this, and when it's succeeded, we can see in the notifications tab, I will come back to the video and I'll show you the results. So that's just taken a couple of minutes. Let me head back to the mailbox now, so you can see that this is the mailbox. Now you might be thinking, well, it's still empty. There's no emails in here. But down the left-hand side, there's a little folder called Redstor Restores. Got a bit of a ring to that, hasn't it? So if you remember, we restored this to a new folder. So Redstor goes ahead and creates a Redstor Restores. Click on there. There's the date and the time of the backup. And then we can dig into there. There's the mailbox and there's the inbox. And you can see all my emails are now in there. So what I can do, I can just drag them straight into my inbox. It's as easy as that. So backing up and restoring Exchange Online data with Redstor, very, very straightforward. So let's have a look at some other forms, because we've got OneDrive. You can see that here. Again, we've got all our users here. I can click on Arvin. It shows us his backup. It's just got one as Arvin. Go on OneDrive. Again, you've got everything here. What about this one here? Go to recover. Again, you've got a couple more options here. We can do a new folder again. So it's the same kind of thing. It'll create a new folder within OneDrive. Or we can just overwrite that file with the new recovered file. So you've got a couple of options there. We can dig into SharePoint. If I just scroll down to a SharePoint site that I use quite a lot, which is the marketing one. Again, lots of backups in here. I can choose one. I can go to the shared documents. Lots of different folders. Click on websites. Again, we've got a couple of options here. We can restore this to a new site, okay, within there, or we can overwrite again. So similar kind of recovery options to go for there. Looking on Teams. And again, we've got our overview. We've got backup selection. We've got our backup schedule. And we can drill right down. So the Integral IT is our biggest team. I can choose a date of backup. We can go into the site, which is just a SharePoint backend. We can go into all the channels like that. Plus, what I can do, I can click on Beta 365 Guide. I can drill further into files and messages. Okay, go right into it, but I'll just leave it as this. And again, recover. We can do new folder, or we can overwrite. So you can see when we're talking about backing up the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, with Redstor, we've got everything covered. It's a really simple user interface, and it's really easy to add clients, backup data, and restore data. So I've shown you now how to back up your Microsoft 365 data and restore your data if you need to. But at the outset of this video, I also spoke about backing up Entra ID. Now, Redstor are one of the first companies to address this important and overlooked area. So, why do you need to back up Entra ID? I can hear you asking. Well, think about it for a moment. Entra ID is responsible for user authentication in Microsoft 365. It's responsible for accessing critical data and securing critical applications. If there's a problem with Entra ID, then people just can't work. Your business grinds to a halt and data might be lost. Now, most businesses don't realize that Entra ID is largely unprotected, and it makes it a major vulnerability in your business against cyber attacks, data loss, and costly disruption. So let's talk about real-life examples. I recently learned of an MSP in the US, and one of their customers had their global admin accounts compromised. And what did the hackers do? They made over 1,800 changes to Entra ID. Now, Entra ID does have some logging capabilities, but in this instance, the recovery was long. The MSP had to spend several days just trying to unpick what the cyber criminals had done, and even then, they didn't have everything covered. Now, this MSP has now subscribed to Redstor's Entra ID Backup. It gives them and their clients just that extra peace of mind that if something happens, the business can get up to speed, get back up and running really quickly. So, should we take a look at Entra ID Backup in Redstor? I think it's time. So I'm back in my test tenancy, the one we added at the start of this video, just when I showed you how easy it was to add a Microsoft 365 tenancy. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to add the Entra ID Backup. I just go to these three dots and I go to Manage Products. You can see that Microsoft 365 is in here at the moment. I simply click on Add, and at the top, I've got Microsoft Entra. So I click on the plus sign, and you can see that is adding now. So it's going to cover my users, my groups, my admin units, and my roles, okay? And it tells us exactly what Entra ID is. We're backing up and protecting our critical data, and we're benefiting from instant recovery. So we click on Proceed, and we click on Confirm. And you can see that Entra ID is here. So I click on there. The next thing I need to do is add my tenant. So I click on there, and I just get a prompt to say that I'm going to need the global admin. And after I've entered that, the first backup of Entra ID will automatically kick off. So I'll click on Sign In, and I'll enter my details. We'll accept those permissions, and it's added, and it's as simple as that. So you can see we've got our tenant name, our tenant ID. We've got a secure score as well. So what happens is it takes a look at the secure score, and every backup you can see that improving, which is good. I can drill into this like this. We've got all our users, and at the side of the users, we've got some options here. Look, we can view the attributes, we can restore, or we can compare attributes. So I can dig in further. We've got the metadata, the JSONs, everything we need to recover from any issues with our Entra ID. We can go into our groups. Again, we've got the same options. We can compare. So the comparison is really good in the event of some kind of cyber attack. We can compare the different versions and see what they're like, see how they differ. We've got our admin units, and we've got our roles. Okay, so that is Entra ID Backup. Something I thoroughly recommend. It's just that extra guarantee, that extra insurance policy for our clients. And it's been a little bit overlooked, if I'm honest. And Redstor are one of the first companies into market with their own Entra ID Backup product. So I hope in this demo that you've been able to see the power of the Redstor platform. As I've talked about already, my MSP uses Redstor for all its business continuity and resilience. covering things like Microsoft 365, Entra ID, Azure virtual machines, and even some on-premises servers. Now, I've included a link below this video if you're interested in taking your interest a little bit further. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Look forward to seeing you again soon.